So for the listeners who don't know, Brady is with the Through the Keyhole podcast, an Oklahoma football podcast. So, how did you come to work with them? Do you have like a particular aspect that you like a niche aspect that you specialize in for the show, or what's the dynamic there? How's that work?
Yeah. So my old job prior to 2021, I worked for the radio station in Oklahoma City, 107.7 The Franchise, and I was their Thunder reporter. So I'd go to games and practice and go interview Russell Westbrook, and I covered the
Oh,
team. And
sorry.
sometimes it was fun, sometimes it wasn't.
There,
Especially,
there's a story there, Jesse, I want to hear
Um,
later.
I live with a Mavericks fan and I have bought into the Mavericks
Uh,
real hard. And after
Uh,
this past season, I've got some beef with Russell Westbrook, but that's fine.
ooh,
oh
It's
my.
fine.
I think everybody's got beef with Russell Westbrook.
I
So
think he has beef with himself. If
yeah,
the way he carries himself is any indication.
we're all just playing for second place with Russ. But yeah, so in addition to doing Thunder stuff and jumping on the radio and talk like, here's the Thunder report, they wanted me to try to think of ways to extend the reach of the radio station because it's it's the 2020s, radio is going down, and like, how do we do something? So I just came up with the idea of having a podcast network for all the personalities. And, we're the flagship station for Oklahoma Sooner athletics. So all your football games that you listen to for OU are on our station. So I thought, well, we need to have an OU football podcast. I never wanted to cover OU because I'm a fan. And I would
Hard to
feel
be
awkward.
objective.
Because at the time, Mike Stoops was the defensive coordinator, and it would have been very awkward to just go on a podcast, losing my mind of like, why is this human employed still? Why? And then go up to him with like a camera and like try to be like legitimate professional. Like, it just wouldn't
Right.
make a lot of sense. So they let me kind of start a podcast for the network, and it was called Inside OU at the time, and I ran it with John Hoover, who's covered OU football for 30 years. Like, he's well known, and former linebacker for OU, Rufus Alexander, who now works for the athletic department, I think within Brent's Soul Mission program, which is like, it's like a program that's designed to like show athletes like other opportunities outside of athletics and to prepare them for life if in the event that they don't make the NFL. So it's a cool little program that's been helpful to them. But we did that podcast for a few years. Then COVID hit, and then the station cut all of our pay, and then there were no sports. And so I just kind of like, I want to do something different with it. So I changed the name to Through the Keyhole. Through the Keyhole is a reference to Joe Washington. He was a running back in the mid 70s, played with Barry Switzer's Wishbone teams. Darrell Royal, the Texas coach at the time, was asked about like, what's it like defending Joe Washington? And he said he's like smoke through a keyhole. So I
Mm.
like that line, and it's cool because most people my age don't know what it means. And I'm like, oh, cool. It means more to me. So I wanted basically a place to be an OU fan. And ever since then, we've had the podcast, whether it be like on for free. We've got a Patreon page that has a nice little community by itself. We just launched our free website a few months ago. I like to write. I like to create content. I like to podcast about OU football. It's a passion of mine, and I've got an awesome team with Peyton Guthrie, Alan Kinney, and Matt Burton that do fantastic jobs in their own rights. And we've been able to build a podcast that I'm proud of because there are a handful of podcasts out there, and for me, it's like, what do you offer that's different?
Right.
And there are the journalistic OU podcasts, like the guys that covered the team on a day-to-day basis. And that's like, I respect that. I was in that zone for a little bit, but not with OU, but I respect that. We're fans, and we just try to promote like an environment for other like prospective listeners of, hey, I know you're mad that we lost to Kansas, so listen to us scream and lose our minds about Jeff Lebby, and join in on the fun, and you won't feel as bad. So
Right.
that's basically the environment that we've tried, at least I've tried to build, and Peyton and Allen, like, they add like an intelligence level to it that kind of goes beyond me with how they view the sport of college football as a whole. So we've got a little bit of everything, and I like it.